Data centers are undergoing significant evolution. Initially, they were massive, centralized facilities that were complex, costly, and difficult to replicate or restore. Now, advancements in hardware and software, as well as increased focus on sustainability, are driving rapid transformation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Analytics Insight podcast, where we talk about the ever evolving tech space. And I'm your host, Priya Dialani. Now, the data center of the future is ripe for future growth and transformation. As a service, models are expected to become more prevalent. The IDC forecasting that 65% of tech buyers will prioritize these models by 2026. Now, this shift echoes the response to economic pressures and the need to fill talent gaps in IT operations. So, how can you make a successful transition to an agile and future-ready data center? Let's welcome Anjani Kumar Kommisetti, Head of Business at Rhine XCircle. Hi, Anjani, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Priya. Thanks for hosting us.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you with us on a podcast today, Anjani. And definitely, when we're talking about data centers, it is currently, if we consider the sustainability efforts, I think a data center and the evolution of data center has been quite a hot topic these days. And of course, we're going to discuss more about that in detail moving ahead. But before that, we would like to know more about Rhine XCircle. So if you could help us understand about the organization, its specialization, and anything more that our listeners would like to hear.
Sure, Priya. So Rhine XCircle is basically a strategic joint venture between XCircle Australia and Group Rhine. Group Rhine is an Indian electrical manufacturer who manufactures transformers, compact substations, ring main units, smart meters, EV charging stations, diversified everything that is related to the electrical aspect of it. And XCircle Australia is into the prefab and modular solutions for 3 decades and serving countries like South Africa, Australian terrains, where there is more demand in challenging environmental or climatic conditions like in mines, close to the deserts, remote areas, where there are less access to energy, less access to other resources, and less availability of skilled technicians. And yet you need to provide the data center or the IT services in these remote locations to enable the IoT, etc. That's where they've been expertise of. So we thought when the data center industry is evolving and growing fast, in order to meet the demands of data center industry in terms of enabling the infrastructure at every challenging geographies, challenging remote sites, the prefab and modular solutions are the only answer the way we can meet these requirements at the speed the current infrastructure is demanding. So we have gone ahead and made a 50-50 joint venture with XCircle Australia. And as a Rhine Group, we are committed to deliver a lot of electrical solutions already. And we are working in the smart meter industry, EV charging, which is also an evolving industries in today's market. So with this combination, we are aimed and geared to address the prefab and modular data center requirements, both on the edge as well as in the hyperscale requirements.
Pretty fascinating, Anjani. Thank you for sharing that with our listeners about Rhine XCircle, and of course, what are your, your vision and mission, and how you guys are working towards it. Moving ahead, we would also like to know more about you, Anjani. You are a seasoned technology leader with over 20 years of experience in enterprise IT segment and specializing in data center infrastructure, remote infrastructure management, and strategic market development. So, if you could tell us more about yourself, how has your journey been till date, and what exactly is your role at Rhine Circle?
Yeah, it's been a great journey so far. I have experience in working in different domains of the IT. I've been in the networking, started when the passive cabling and the structured cabling solutions in the early days, which was a concept. And then we were promoting SSL VPNs, the smart security keys, and then the application load balancers, all these when they were in concept. And also the remote infrastructure management solutions as a concept. And it's been 15 years addressing these solutions and helping data centers monitor and manage remotely. And in last few years, I had an opportunity to associate and lead the data center division at Lego for their integrated approach in addressing the data center demands for India. And now the prefab and modular data centers as a concept which is emerging in the Indian industry. And I thought it's a great opportunity to take this to the market. And with all the experience and with all the success that we've delivered to the clients in the previous projects, this would be a good way to reach them in order to address the real challenge that they're currently facing in meeting the demands at speed, and also at the possible way of adapting the scalable architectures that would help them to grow faster without thinking of the heavy investments, etc. So that's how I got into this, and that's been my experience. And I'm excited about this opportunity, and I think we're going to make some good case studies in the coming days for India.
Well, definitely. I hope so too. And thank you for sharing that, Anjani. It's always inspiring to hear how leaders like you are not only driving strategy, but also rolling up your sleeves to bring, real impact to the organization. Now, moving ahead, as we are seeing, the world becoming more digital, I think the demand for high performance, scalable, and efficient data centers has skyrocketed. Now, what began as large centralized facilities housing servers and network equipment has evolved into a new paradigm where we can see more flexibility, speed, and efficiency. So, that is what we're calling these days as modular data centers. Now, this transformation is reshaping how companies design, build, and manage their IT infrastructure. So, can you walk us through what makes a modular infrastructure a game changer compared to traditional data center?
See, what happens in traditional data center is they build the building in a brick and mortar way with a lot of construction involved. At the same time, they have to bring all these components, electrical components, everything inside the building and install and integrate there as component by component. Now, there are different departments involved and different project managers involved and different companies involved to integrate and make it work as an one large facility. Now, while it has been designed very cautiously and very effectively, there are chances for delays. What comes first, what comes later, and there are also challenges for overlapping. What this happens is this has a chain effect in delaying the overall project. Let's assume that what is supposed to happen at day one didn't happen, and what is supposed to happen on day 10 has arrived faster. Now, the equipment that arrives faster is of no use, and that stays there until the equipment that has to be installed on day one arrives. Now, that causes a lot of delay. And if somebody has to lay a cable first before the other person has to lay, and if this gets overlapped by what has to be done first is done later, and then the other comes, then the routes, etc., will get had complications in terms of one using the other space. And there's a lot of complexity to manage. I'm sure while I'm saying this, it's a little confusing and you cannot correlate it. But this is what happens when you do too many things at the site with too many departments involved. This is what we are trying to simplify it. And what we are delivering as a value is the time. Now we all are running behind time in terms of making things work in less time, delivering everything on faster, right? Nobody has time to wait. That's how the world is. That's what the consumers are expecting, the internet users are expecting. So to deliver this, even there's a pressure on data centers to go live quickly and deliver everything ASAP. Now, what modular data centers or modular critical infrastructure solutions brings in is the entire small components and different components are integrated as a one single module to make it simplify as a data module, power module, and cooling module. So you can integrate this module by module at site, which is already pre-integrated, tested at the factory. So you know this is working, and this is one block coming and sitting at the site. At the site, all you need to do is this site integration test, and it works. And another advantage is, let's say you are building a 200 megawatt data center. In a brick and mortar, you have to build the whole architecture and then bring all the components. At least to the one fourth of the infrastructure has to be ready to start your production, to give some space and to host some servers. Wherein, in case of modular approach, you can start at the 1/10 of the data center as day one. On a 200 megawatt, you can start with going live from 2 megawatts and scale it up as you can go. So to 20, and then you scale as you want as your demand increases. Well, how does this help? First, you go live in faster mode. You make your facility available for your clients at much lesser time than what you initially anticipate. Third, your capital investment is well managed, the cash flows are well managed, you don't need to invest everything on day one, and the revenues start hitting your organization faster, as you will be making the facility available in smaller pods and scaling it up as your customer demands and the traffic increases. So this is the game changer which we believe strongly that it is going to help on the hyperscalers, and even if in the on-prem data centers whoever is going to build, because what is happening is the change in the computing side, the change in the cooling side, everything is changing and the densities are growing, and it is not static anymore, it is more of a dynamic demand. To adapt these dynamic demands, we need to adapt a lot of changes in the entire architecture. Now this is not possible in the traditional architecture, because once you draw, design everything, you build everything from ground to sky, right? And in the modular architecture, you can adopt and change any piece for your future needs at any point of time. So one fourth can be in the traditional, and then second can be with the latest today's demands, and the third can be again at that point of time in future what demands for you. So this way you will be able to adapt the changes in the industry also faster with this modular architecture.
Well, that's such a crucial area to unpack, especially now when agility and speed are not just luxuries, but necessities for businesses navigating through rapid digital transformation. And I think it's not just about building faster; it's about building smarter, because this shift is enabling organizations to align their digital infrastructure strategy more closely with their budget constraints or future ready architectures and even sustainability goals. I think that's I mean, thank you for breaking that down. It really helps paint a clear picture of why modular design isn't just a tech trend, but I think it's more of a strategic pivot. Now, when we're talking about modular data centers, I think it would be unfair if we didn't talk about 5G technology. I think the evolution of 5G technology is not about speed and lower latency, but it is kind of helping organization enable more AI driven automation and of course personalizing digital experiences, because businesses that leverage 5G connectivity, I mean, they have a power to get hyper connected to a world, from network virtualization and edge computing to more cloud native architectures. So when we are witnessing this rapid deployment of 5G, enterprises must also prepare for the next phase of connectivity, now one that is defined by intelligent, scalable, and secure networks. And of course, with increasing demand for low latency application, IoT integration, AI powered services, it's really important that telecom providers must invest in more robust network solutions, is what I feel. And we are also witnessing the research on 5G, and today's focus is maximizing 5G's potential through advanced security, cloud, and AI driven operations. So when we're talking about 5G or IoT or edge computing, how is Rhine XCircle preparing to meet the next wave of demand for distributed and agile infrastructure?
So, Priya, in this case, what happens is now when you look about the 5G, the availability of the network is which is crucial, and this has to be available to the remote test locations. And when the 5G infrastructure is coming, the equipment that goes below those towers, below those NLD centers is also important. And this is also changing, because what happens is you don't know what traffic is going to demand. While we are building the high capacity AI data centers, the actual traffic is going to come from the internet users who are scattered in a very remote locations. For them, the process of data at that edge location and the speed of accessing this data is also very important. That is where the 5G is going to play a very crucial role in terms of giving the speed to the data that they want to access. Now, in our case, we are building micro and modular infrastructures for these locations. Whether you call about the towers, we have the standard 2 rack, 4 rack micro data centers that is pre-integrated with the power, pre-integrated with cooling, and also a smaller gensets that can work on a very critical conditions, and then it is integrated with to work with solar, work with wind, whatever is available at the remotest locations. This is already the pre-integration is already done, and these are the ready plug and play boxes that can be deployed at remote locations. So at the speed this country wants to deploy these infrastructures, our solutions are ready to deploy in remote locations. Similarly to the data centers, when you are trying to build edge data centers today, you really do not know what is the demand, what application is going to drive that kind of environment, because our users are different and the need of the users from location to location may differ. So one standard solution will not fit to all the geographical conditions that India has. Somewhere it is an industry demand is more, somewhere it is a retail demand is more, right? And somewhere it is a design or the broadcast or the media demands are more. So based on this, your data center size and the capacity would differ. For us, the scalable architecture with plug and play modules is what helps these conditions to adopt the data centers faster, make the infrastructure available quickly, and integrate with the foolproof solutions. And that enables the entire edge infrastructure. That is what we are contributing in this segment currently.
I think that is definitely an exciting space to watch, and as the entire world is currently defined by ultra low latency, massive connectivity, and real time conversion, I think the role of 5G, IoT, and edge computing will become more important to for organizations to navigate the digital transformation. And I think organizations today need infrastructure that's not just fast, like we mentioned, we spoke about it, but they need something more scalable and geographically distributed. And I think there comes that's where Rhine XCircle plays a very important role, being at the forefront of building the backbone for a very truly connected world. Moving ahead, we have been talking about modular data or data centers. Now, as data center industry plays importance on focusing more on resiliency and uptime, a rather conservative and conventional thinking often take precedence. Now, CIOs and IT professionals usually adopt a better safe than sorry attitude, which kind of gives rise to a fair share of myths and misconceptions on the new and emerging technologies. Now, take modular data centers, for example. Now, the technology has been around for more than a decade and has gone through massive technological advancements. Yet, many think that modular data centers are less than the traditional on site data center construction, which is kind of slow, costly, and rigid. So we want to understand from you, Anjani, what are some of the common misconceptions or myths about modular data centers, and how is Rhine Circle helping reshape that narrative in the market?
So, Priya, let me tell you, first misconception is modular data centers are mostly considered that this can be adopted only in the edge and regional data centers. That is true for a quick adoption. But in the modular data centers, the key is the prefab and modular architecture for all modules. There is a data module, which is for your data halls, and there is a power module, and there is a cooling module, right? So this helps you to integrate the critical infrastructure as modules in whichever sizes and the capacities that you need for your edge and for your regional, as well as for the hyperscales also. In hyperscales, again, it's a misconception that the modular data center is only for low capacity and everything. We have designed modules up to 2 megawatt of each module. I'm talking about only the power module of 2 megawatt, which can scale up to multiples of this, can take you to 20s and 200 and multiples of this one, right? And we can further design and scale it to up to 3.5 megawatt also in modules, which brings the adoption of modularity in data centers, no matter the size, be it hyperscale, be it regional data centers or the edge data centers. This is first misconception which I want to clear, saying that uh, modular data centers are not only for edge and remote locations. This can be adapted. The modularity as a concept can be adapted even in large hyperscale data centers, right? You need to ask for the right solution, and if you look at the right solution, you can quickly adapt and get all the benefits that is applicable for the edge at the hyperscales also. Second thing is, when you look at the modularity, it is mostly containerized, right? It is everything in a box. Now people consider that it is what this is part of the shipping containers, and shipping containers has a fixed dimensions. So everything has to fix in dimensions. Yes, shipping containers, the fixed dimensions are easy in case when you want to ship it outside and everything. So people try to limit that within the shipping dimensions. Wherein at Rhine XCircle, we build everything from ground to sky, And we don't use the standard containers, and we don't reuse them, or we don't redesign them. We build everything from ground as an steel structure to meet the needs of the client in various dimensions. So there is no standard of using the containerized solutions only by using the shipping containers. That's the misconception. So we can build everything to the needs of the clients. So varying a little dimension, because if we have to ship around India, we don't need to follow the seaworthy shipping dimensions. So we can be adaptable, which also helps to meet the data center standards. Considering the time, I will just give you one example. So if you look at the width of the container, it is only 2.4 meters, and the rack width is depth is about minimum 1 meter. And it also has to have equal space at the front and the back to access and install the device and everything. So out of 2.4 leaving the walls, you will get 2.2. If one is used for the rack, and you only have another one to share between front and back, so you get 550, 550 approximate, which is not sufficient and does not meet the data center standards. So in our case, we can scale up to 3.2 meters as weight, and that allows the rack depths to be maintained and also to meet the data center standards. So this is another misconception which I want to clear, and these are the two major misconceptions. So, and this can be adapted to any size of the data center, and it can be done beyond the standard sizes of a shipping containers.
Right. I think that's pretty fascinating, and I'm happy to see that Rhine XCircle is not addressing just the technical and operational gaps associated with modular data centers, but is also changing and the way the industry is perceiving them at the moment. And I think with any new technology coming up, there are I mean, there is reluctance to, accept it immediately and ensure like a full-scale adoption. And I think that's where, companies like Rhine Circle come into the picture. They bridge the gap between innovation and practicality, and, showing that modular data centers aren't just a solution for remote or edge location, but they are a viable and a long-term strategy that is definitely required for a wide range of industries, as there's this growth in the data. Moving ahead to the another aspect of modular data centers as to why we need them today is I was reading this report by Financial Times, and it said that the rapid expansion of data centers, which is fueled by the surging demand for AI, is intensifying concerns over water usage and environmental sustainability. Now, the trend highlights a very broader challenge because as tech giants invest billions in infrastructure that demands immense water resources to cool equipment. I was just reading this study, and it showed that US data centers used more than 75 billion gallons of water in 2023, which is equivalent to London's 4-month water consumption. Now that's a huge number that we are seeing right now. So I mean, sustainability has always been a growing concern in the data center industry. So how does Rhine Circle incorporate environmental responsibility into its modular designs and operations?
So what happens, Priya, normally in a brick and mortar construction, if you see there is a lot of water and power utilized at the sites, and okay, that's the first, and also the other pollution related like the dust it is generated and everything. When you look at our way of construction, it is all everything with the steel structure and everything. There is less amount of water used in our construction mode, if that is what we talk as a sustainability. And second thing is the amount of effort that is measured, which is also again looks at how effectively we are adding value to the hour of effort versus the result outcome. So this is the fastest way you can generate more in less time, and which contributes towards the efforts in terms. So it is not only the power utilization and the water utilization which you need to count, but also on the other areas of how the man efforts are also getting reduced on this. These three aspects are very well covered in the modular and prefab architecture. Another biggest challenge in the area of AI is, as you have seen, the water consumption is high in terms of cooling the equipment. The cooling trends and technologies are changing very fast with the DCLC, direct chip liquid cooling, or the immersion cooling systems, which use a different fluid to cool the equipment. Now, these technologies are changing very fast and is going to be destructive in very short gaps. Now, when you are adapting the AI data centers, you don't know what is good for today maybe, and what is going to change the current challenge. And this is going to be in very short timelines. So what normally happens is, while you build something and you're about to deliver, by then some trend or technology changes, you will regret saying that, oh, we would have adapted this, maybe we would have waited for some time. But waiting is not the answer. The construction or design has to be in such a way that you can adapt that change at any point of time in design. So the modularity will give you that aspect. How does it impact is, the waste of resources in terms of rebuilding, re-engineering again and again is a waste of all the resources. But if you can adopt, as if you change a battery in your car, as simple as that, and then if you can remove a module and add a module to it to meet to the current traits, what you've designed is based on yesterday's thought process, need and demand, but by the time you deliver, that is today. So it is already yesterday's technology, right? So can we adapt to the today's technology? Because there is a lapse in the time that you take to construct and you go live. In between, many things is, the cooling technology may change, the power technologies may change, or the computing technologies may change, which demands your rack density change. So by the time you want to go live, you should be ready for today. And this is what we are going to change. And this is how we are contributing towards the sustainability.
Well, definitely that's an important area to spotlight, especially when data consumption and sustainability concerns both are, skyrocketing and can no longer be an afterthought, is what I believe. And of course, I think, when incorporating sustainability into data center design isn't just a technical decision. I think it is majorly a leadership mindset, because how you want to combine modularity and ensure sustainability. I think it depends how your organization is changing its leadership mindset, and how it is incorporating these elements into their daily operations is really important. And it's also refreshing to see how so many players in this space are taking proactive steps, not only to reduce the carbon footprint, but also set like a example for the broader digital ecosystem. So I think where in a world where everything is powered by data, I think the evolution from traditional to modular data design is just the beginning of a broader trend towards a more efficient data infrastructure. And of course, like we discussed, technologies like 5G, IoT, and AI automation edge. As these technologies continue to grow, I think I will witness more demand of a faster and localized data processing. So having said that, what trends do you see globally in the adoption of prefab data centers, or how does India's pace of adoption look like?
So in globally, worldwide, it is on the western side, be it Europe, be it US. This is most common way that is doing, and there are many large data centers and edge data centers are already deployed at various part of the world. As India is a growing country in terms of data centers, and this market is now adopting the modular and prefab architecture. Yes, there is a debate what is right and what is the best way to do it and everything. That's a little bit slow down in the start, but compared to the previous days where we are waiting and watching for the world to adopt, test, try, India is also changing its mindset in terms of adapting and experimenting new technologies, how that can be adapted to meet the current and future trends. So, in from this perspective, the response from the clients is very, very exciting. And we are in some advanced discussions with some of the clients in very interesting designs. And once it is out, I think the industry will definitely appreciate it the way it's been done. So this is the adoption rate is very, very high. And at the same time, to make it future ready, the technology is also coming with pre-integrated options for integrating with wind, solar, in order to meet the green energy and carbon footprint or a carbon credits that organizations want to adapt. And we have also developed some solutions on the battery energy and storage systems to integrate with the current and future green energy adoptions, be it the wind, solar today or the upcoming hydrogen aspects tomorrow. We have developed and we are ready to integrate our prefab and modular solutions with those kind of green energy solutions also. And this is what going to make the customers adopt various ways in various areas, the prefab and modular solutions in all aspects.
Right, definitely. I think data centers will continue transitioning from the monolithic configurations from yesteryear to become agile, high-powered, of course, AI-driven and sustainable ecosystems are distributed globally. They will mirror the broader evolution of technology, business, and society, and sometimes even leading to charge to a new frontier. I think the data center of the future will be at the center of innovation, efficiency, and environmental responsibility, playing a critical role in shaping a sustainable digital world. Well, thank you so much, Anjani, for taking out time and effort to be on our podcast today and helping us understand that modular data centers offer more scalability, they are more cost efficient, and offer greater speed than traditional models struggle to, I think, match. And for businesses looking to future proof their operations, a modular design is a strategic way to keep pace with the demands of modern digital services. So thank you so much, for coming on our podcast today. It was pleasure having you, and it was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, Priya. Thanks for hosting us. It's a great opportunity. And we wish we will be able to do more such podcasts, sharing the knowledge and sharing the new trends in the data center technology. Thanks you once again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Definitely will look forward to more such synergies, Anjani. And this is for our listeners. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please share it within your network if you find it useful and insightful. And stay tuned for more upcoming episodes that we'll be tuning in soon. And you can view all our previous podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.